The universe trembles as an unstoppable alien force arrives on Earth, led by the last beneath, a terrifying hybrid of Thanos and an ancient warlord. With cosmic powers beyond imagination, this alien lizard army begins to obliterate cities in mere seconds. Superman, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor unite as Earth's final defense, but a dark secret ties them to this merciless enemy. Old rivalries spark as trust shatters, and the line between hero and villain blurs. The battle for the fate of the universe begins, but at what cost? The last beneath, a world shattered. The sky had never looked the same again. It had been days since the first cosmic anomaly appeared above Earth, a crack in the fabric of space itself. No one understood what it was at first. But as the storm of lightning and fire rained down from the heavens, the world quickly realized that someone was coming. Superman hovered in the skies above Metropolis, his red cape whipping wildly in the strange, violent winds. His jaw was clenched, eyes scanning the horizon. He could feel it. Something was wrong. It wasn't just the storm, it was the power behind it. Something darker than any foe he had ever faced. "Lois, get to safety," he radioed in his comms. The urgency in his voice was evident, even though he was trying to keep calm. But deep down, even Superman, the Man of Steel, felt the fear creeping in. A ripple in space suddenly tore across the sky. Out of the tear emerged a colossal ship, its alien shape like something from a nightmare. Its surface shimmered with dark, unnatural energy, and it hovered above the city like a harbinger of doom. Superman's heart skipped a beat as he saw the insignia, a skull, surrounded by a ring of fire. He wasn't alone in the air. Iron Man shot through the sky, his sleek red and gold armor glinting in the flashes of lightning. His voice crackled through the comms. "Hey, Supes, mind telling me what the hell this is?" Superman didn't answer immediately. His eyes locked on the ship. His mind was racing. Whatever this was, it wasn't like anything he had encountered before. And it was here, right above Metropolis. A deep rumble shook the ground, and the sky split open. A massive figure descended from the ship, a hulking, reptilian creature that seemed to tower over everything. Its body was a grotesque mix of alien scales, Thanos' familiar purple hue, and an ancient, predatory rage. It landed with a deafening thud, shaking the earth beneath it. "This can't be real," Iron Man muttered, descending quickly to join Superman. His suit's AI analyzed the creature. An alien lizard hybrid with Thanos' genetic imprint? This is bad even for us. The creature, the one they would come to know as the Last Beneath, roared, sending out a pulse of energy that sent both Superman and Iron Man crashing backward. It was like nothing they had ever faced. Not just a beast, but something with intelligence, power, and an agenda. The streets of Metropolis below were already crumbling from the shockwave. The alien lizard's voice thundered, distorted by the cosmic energy swirling around him. "You think you are the protectors of this world? You are nothing. Your time is over." Iron Man shot a look at Superman, his voice laced with disbelief. Did he just talk? Are we really doing this? Superman pushed himself up, shaking off the shock. "We are not backing down." His eyes burned with determination. But deep inside, the doubts gnawed at him. What if they weren't strong enough to stop this force? The Last Beneath wasn't just any alien. He was a hybrid, born of cosmic warlords and ruthless conquerors. This was no ordinary enemy. Thor appeared, wielding Mjolnir, his eyes flashing with fury. Let us show this creature what happens when he challenges the gods. He charged forward, but as he swung Mjolnir, the Last Beneath flicked his tail, creating a shockwave that sent Thor spiraling through the sky, crashing into a nearby skyscraper. The force of the impact sent shockwaves rippling out, knocking Iron Man and Superman off their feet. Before Superman could react, a second ship emerged, this one even larger, sending out legions of alien warriors. The fight had just begun, and it was unlike anything they'd ever faced. Hulk's roar echoed in the distance, and before anyone could process it, the green giant leaped into the fray. He landed with the force of an earthquake, smashing through rows of alien soldiers. His fists rained down like meteors, causing explosions wherever they hit. Smash! Hulk bellowed, his anger growing with every blow. His fists slammed into the ground, and the earth trembled beneath them. His strength was unmatched, but even he could feel the weight of the battle pressing down on him. The last beneath laughed, a deep, unsettling sound. You are nothing but pawns in a game much older than you. Superman shot into the air, locking eyes with the alien hybrid. We are more than you think, and this world is under our protection. You are deluded Kryptonian, the last beneath spat, his eyes glowing with energy. I have come to reshape this universe. You are my first target. Suddenly, the entire battlefield shifted. Alien ships began to activate strange, glowing devices on the ground, opening rifts in space-time. They were attempting to tear apart the very fabric of reality. Iron Man's AI began to warn him. Warning: temporal instability detected. This could collapse the entire planet's timeline. Everyone fall back. Superman yelled, but it was too late. A massive pulse of dark energy erupted from the alien leader, sending out a wave of destructive force that knocked all of the heroes to the ground. But the battle was far from over. As the smoke cleared, the heroes, bruised but unbroken, stood together. The last beneath stood in the center, ready to finish what he started. Time to end this, the alien warlord said, raising his hand. Iron Man quickly recharged his suit. We'll see about that. Thor and Hulk prepared for round 2, their eyes burning with determination. Superman cracked his knuckles, his fists glowing with the power of the sun. Batman's silhouette appeared from the shadows, already analyzing the aliens' weak points. They were the last line of defense, and they wouldn't back down. The last beneath was wrong. They weren't pawns. And this world wasn't his to reshape. Not while they were still standing. Shattered alliances. The aftermath of the first clash was a war zone. The once majestic skyline of Metropolis now lay in ruins, its streets broken and smoldering, the air thick with smoke. Superman hovered above the devastation, his mind racing. The alien warlord, the last beneath, had already proven his strength. But there was something more ominous about this creature than just raw power. He wasn't just here to conquer. He was here to destroy everything the heroes held dear. Superman's thoughts were interrupted by a sharp crackle on his comms. Superman, you there? Iron Man's voice cut through the static. We've got a serious problem. Hulk and Thor are going rogue. Superman turned towards the chaos unfolding below. Thor and Hulk were in the thick of battle again, but this time it wasn't just alien soldiers they were fighting. It was each other. Thor's hammer clashed with Hulk's fist, sending shockwaves through the ground. Iron Man's suit zoomed through the debris, trying to get a clear shot at the raging duo. But each time he tried to intervene, the energy from the battle pushed him back. Stop this, both of you, Iron Man shouted, his voice drowned out by the chaotic storm of fists and weapons. We need to focus on the real enemy, not each other. Hulk turned his gaze towards Iron Man, his eyes burning with primal fury. Smash. He's the enemy, not me. Hulk roared. Thor gritted his teeth, summoning the power of the storm. Enough, Hulk. We are allies, not beasts. But the battle was getting personal. Hulk, fueled by his anger, lashed out at Thor with a devastating blow. Thor countered with lightning, but the force of their clash sent Iron Man crashing into a nearby building. The Avengers had fought together countless times, but this was different. Something was fraying at the seams. Something bigger than their egos was at play. Meanwhile, Superman was still locked in battle with the last beneath. The alien warlord towered over him, a menacing grin on his reptilian face. The cosmic energy radiating from his body crackled with power, sending waves of electricity coursing through the ground. Superman rushed forward, his fists clenched and glowing with solar energy. You are weak, Kryptonian, the last beneath sneered. You, who once claimed to be the protector of this world, are no match for me. This world will burn, just as my enemies did before. Superman struck with a punch, but the last beneath effortlessly dodged, retaliating with a blast of energy that sent Superman spiraling through the air. The force of the impact left a crater in the ground. The alien warlord stood over him, his voice dripping with disdain. "You'll never understand the power of those who are above you, Superman. You are nothing more than a puppet." Superman pushed himself off the ground, his eyes burning with rage. But the last beneath wasn't done. He unleashed another pulse of energy, this time targeting the entire battlefield. Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk were thrown back by the shockwave, and the ground beneath them cracked open like a fissure. "We're out of time," Superman growled, struggling to stay upright. His strength was waning, and he could feel the weight of the battle bearing down on him. If they didn't work together, truly work together, this world would fall. Iron Man finally managed to pull himself together. "All right, enough with the pissing match," he snapped, hovering above the battlefield. "We're playing right into his hands. We need to unite, or we're all dead." Thor's face was flushed with frustration. "We are united, but not under your command, Stark." Batman, who had been monitoring from the shadows, appeared on the comms. "You're all fighting the wrong battle. The last beneath isn't just after Earth. He's after the one thing all of you are tied to. It's not about strength. It's about something far more dangerous, power. His power comes from a source none of you can even fathom." "What are you talking about, Bats?" Iron Man replied, looking up at the dark figure in the sky. Batman's voice was cold and calculating. "I've been tracing the cosmic anomalies. The last beneath isn't here by accident. He's part of something far older, something tied to the birth of the universe. He's using dark matter and time manipulation to tear the fabric of space apart. The longer we keep fighting, the weaker we become." Superman clenched his fists. "Then we need to stop him before it's too late." Iron Man clicked his fingers. "All right, let's stop arguing and start thinking. What if the key to beating him isn't strength? What if we need to outsmart him?" Batman's voice grew more intense. "That's exactly it. The last beneath controls time, space, and reality. He has the power to distort everything. If we don't find a way to break his hold over those energies, this battle will end with all of us dead." Superman nodded, finally coming to the realization that brute strength wouldn't be enough. "Then we need to take him down, not just with power, but with precision. And we need a plan." The alien warlord's sinister laughter echoed across the ruins of Metropolis. "You still don't understand. The universe is mine. You cannot fight what has already been written." But Superman wasn't about to give up. "You're wrong," he declared. "This isn't your universe to control. It's ours to protect." The heroes began to regroup, their individual egos put aside for a brief moment. They knew they were facing something far beyond their abilities. They had to think outside the box. And that meant trusting each other, a rarity, but one that was necessary if they were going to survive. In the background, the last beneath prepared to unleash his final attack, a cosmic pulse that would tear the very core of the Earth apart. With the stakes higher than ever, the heroes were ready to face the ultimate battle. The time for egos was over. Now it was time to fight as one. The last stand. The air in Metropolis felt electric, charged with anticipation and dread. The heroes had regrouped, but the weight of the situation was palpable. The last beneath stood before them, a creature of unimaginable power, harnessing dark energy to bend the fabric of reality itself. His smile was wicked, knowing that, for the moment, he held all the cards. Superman, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Batman were not just facing an alien. They were up against an apocalyptic force. Time itself seemed to warp around them, flickering in and out of existence, as the last beneath twisted the universe's very foundation. The moment the pulse of dark energy had gone off earlier, the world had trembled, and the ground had cracked open like an open wound. And now they had no time to waste. "This ends now," Superman shouted, his voice resonating with determination. The last beneath's laugh echoed through the sky. "You misunderstand, Kryptonian. This is already over. All you can do now is witness the collapse of your precious world. You've had your time." Iron Man hovered just above the group, his eyes narrowed through his helmet's visor. "You talk too much for a guy who's about to get his, but hand it to him." He targeted the last beneath, activating his thrusters. But you're right about one thing. This does end now. Thor swung Mjolnir, lightning crackling, but the last beneath raised his hand, and with a wave of his fingers, he bent time itself, freezing Thor mid-air. The god of thunder's eyes widened as he was trapped in a time bubble, his movement slow, almost imperceptible. The last beneath sneered, the dark energy wrapping around him like a cocoon. "This is not your fight, Thor," the alien warlord said, his voice cold. "You've only delayed the inevitable." Thor struggled in the bubble, but every movement only stretched time farther, giving him no room to break free. "You underestimate us all," Thor grunted, his voice strained. Meanwhile, Hulk, his rage burning hotter than ever, charged toward the alien, fists ready to destroy anything in his path. But the last beneath merely turned his gaze toward the green giant, and with a snap of his fingers, the ground beneath Hulk erupted, sending him crashing into a nearby building. The earth twisted and contorted as if it had come alive, fighting back against Hulk's brute force. "You think you can stop me with strength?" the last beneath said, his voice booming. "The only power that matters is control, and I control everything." Iron Man, undeterred by the destruction, darted through the air, launching repulsor blasts that shimmered with high-energy intensity. But the last beneath deflected them effortlessly, sending blasts of his own that forced Iron Man to constantly maneuver, dodging and weaving to stay in the air. Every time he tried to land a hit, the alien warped the trajectory of his beams, redirecting them back at him. "Damn it," Iron Man muttered through clenched teeth, his system struggling to keep up. "This guy's on a whole new level." Superman, having flown in a circle around the enemy, now landed directly in front of the last beneath, his fists glowing with solar energy. "You've pushed us too far," Superman said, voice steady but filled with fury. "Now you'll see what happens when you underestimate Earth's might." The last beneath smirked, watching Superman's approach. "You're nothing more than a broken record. No matter what you do, it changes nothing. I am inevitable." With a roar, Superman launched himself into the air, delivering a punch with the force of 1,000 suns. The impact shook the very air, but the last beneath absorbed the blow, his body crackling with dark energy. He grinned, watching as Superman staggered backward, the sun-powered punch not having the desired effect. "You cannot break me, Kryptonian," the last beneath taunted, raising his hand once more. He unleashed a devastating wave of energy that knocked Superman off his feet. The shock wave radiated outward, causing the ground to crack even more violently. The alien warlord then turned to Batman, who had been silently observing from the shadows. "You're the one who understands, aren't you, Dark Knight?" The last beneath hissed. "All your calculations, your intellect. You know there's no way to win. The universe was never meant for you." Batman's eyes narrowed, but his mind was already at work, calculating his next move. "You're wrong," Batman said calmly, stepping forward from the shadows. "You made one mistake. You think you can control everything. But you can't control us, because you don't understand one thing." The alien stared at Batman, his confusion evident. "And what is that?" Batman's voice was low but cutting. "We never fight alone." Iron Man grinned, his HUD flashing in response to Batman's words. "Damn right, Bats." With a sudden synchronized motion, the heroes, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Batman, launched their final offensive. Iron Man powered up his suit with all the energy it could muster, sending waves of repulsor blasts at the last beneath, each more powerful than the last. Thor, no longer trapped, summoned the full might of Mjolnir's lightning, which crashed down on the alien like a storm unleashed. Hulk surged forward with a fury that threatened to split the earth apart, while Batman took the moment to strike from the shadows, using his stealth to get in close. For the first time in the battle, the last beneath faltered. The overwhelming force of their combined attack pushed him back, his concentration on controlling the battlefield slipping. But it wasn't enough. The last beneath growled, his body glowing brighter with cosmic energy. "You think you can stop me?" he bellowed. "I am beyond your power." He launched a final pulse of dark energy, so powerful it tore a rift through space, sending the heroes flying in all directions. The city around them was left in ruins, the sky cracked like shattered glass, and everything seemed to hang on the edge of collapse. The heroes, battered but not broken, regrouped. The fight was far from over. "Get ready," Superman said, voice low but filled with unwavering resolve. "Because we're about to take this fight to him, and we're not stopping until the last breath." The power of unity. The earth trembled beneath them, its very foundation threatening to crumble. The rift in space-time, ripped open by the last beneath, stretched across the sky, distorting the world around them. Time itself seemed to freeze, leaving the heroes suspended in a fractured reality. Superman, struggling to rise from the debris, looked to the others. Iron Man, his suit battered and scorched, hovered nearby, his energy reserves running low. Thor, Mjolnir crackling with the last remnants of power, stood tall but clearly weary. Hulk, though still raging, seemed more controlled, his fury no longer blinding his focus. And Batman's sharp eyes never left the last beneath, calculating every move. The alien warlord, now pulsing with dark energy, floated high above them, his body radiating an ominous glow. "You think this will end differently?" The last beneath's voice echoed through the broken skies, the power of his words reverberating in every corner of the shattered city. "You cannot stop me. I am the master of time and space. I am inevitable." Superman, bloodied but defiant, clenched his fists. "You're wrong," he said, his voice hoarse but steady. "We're not just fighting to survive. We're fighting for each other." Iron Man, hovering beside him, threw a glance at the others. "Exactly. Every one of us has something more than just power. We have unity. You can't defeat us with power alone." Thor raised Mjolnir high, lightning coursing through the skies. "We are stronger together, alien. Prepare to feel the force of gods and men united." Hulk stepped forward, his eyes glowing with controlled rage. Hulk smashed together. Batman, his voice calm amidst the chaos, spoke up. "He's been manipulating reality, pulling us into his game. It's time we stop playing by his rules. We need to disrupt his power source, now." Superman nodded, understanding exactly what Batman meant. The alien's ability to warp space and time was tied to something beyond their comprehension, an ancient, cosmic force that he had harnessed for his own destructive purposes. They needed to break that connection. With a battle cry, Iron Man's suit powered up once again, red energy coursing through his repulsor rays. "Let's do this," he said, before charging toward the last beneath, his thrusters igniting in a blazing streak across the ruined landscape. Thor followed suit, the sky lighting up with his lightning-powered swings of Mjolnir. "This ends today," he shouted, calling down bolts of divine energy with every strike. Hulk charged with a roar, smashing the ground beneath him as he pounded his fists into the earth, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. Hulk smash. But it wasn't enough. Each attack, though powerful, barely scratched the last beneath's defenses. The alien warlord effortlessly dodged Iron Man's blasts, swatted Thor's lightning aside, and absorbed Hulk's blows like they were nothing. "Foolish mortals," the last beneath hissed, raising his hands to conjure another wave of dark energy. But just as he unleashed his devastating blast, Batman's voice rang out across the battlefield. Now, in a flash of brilliance, Batman launched his final move. He activated a device hidden within his suit, a countermeasure designed to disrupt the dark energy the last beneath had been using to manipulate reality. It was the only hope they had. If they could sever the alien's connection to the dark matter sustaining his powers, they could take him down. The device activated, sending out a pulse of blue energy that cut through the chaos. The moment it hit, the last beneath screamed in agony, his dark energy flickering and unstable. For the first time, the alien warlord faltered. His control over time and space weakened, his body destabilizing as the cosmic power began to unravel. "This can't be," the last beneath stammered, his grip on reality slipping. Superman, seeing the opportunity, flew toward him at full speed. "This is where it ends." With a final devastating punch, Superman slammed his fist into the last beneath's chest. The energy from the punch wasn't just physical. It was the culmination of everything the heroes had fought for: unity, strength, and the unyielding will to protect the world. The punch sent a shock wave that reverberated through the rift in space-time, sealing it shut. The last beneath let out one last scream as his body crumpled, his dark energy dissipating into the air like smoke. The world seemed to hold its breath as the rift in reality closed, restoring balance to the universe. For a moment, there was silence. The heroes stood amidst the devastation, their bodies battered, their minds exhausted, but victorious. Superman looked at his team, his expression softening. "We did it." Iron Man let out a relieved sigh, no thanks to his overinflated ego. Thor, though tired, grinned. A victory for gods and men. Hulk let out a contented grunt. Hulk smashed together. And Batman, ever the strategist, simply nodded. "It's done. But we can't let our guard down." As the heroes stood together, their bond stronger than ever, they knew that while one battle had been won, their fight was far from over. The universe was vast, and with enemies like the last beneath, they had to stay vigilant. But for now, Earth was safe, and they had proven that no matter how dark the threat, together they were unstoppable. The final dawn. The sky above Earth was clear once more. The rift that had torn apart space and time was now sealed, and the catastrophic energy that had ravaged the planet was gone. Yet, the city of Metropolis still lay in ruins, scarred by the battle that had nearly destroyed everything. The heroes stood together in the wreckage, breathing heavily, bruised but unbroken. Their fight wasn't just a battle for survival. It was a statement that no enemy, no matter how powerful, could break their will. Superman surveyed the horizon, his expression hard. The battle had been long and grueling, and the cost of victory weighed heavily on him. His fists were still glowing faintly from the solar energy he had used to strike the last beneath, but the true weight of their battle was much heavier than any physical toll. "It's over," Iron Man said, his voice tinged with both relief and exhaustion. He hovered slightly off the ground, his suit barely functional after taking a beating. "We really did it, didn't we?" Thor, his chest heaving with every breath, dropped Mjolnir onto the ground beside him. "A victory at great cost, but one that we shall never forget." The last beneath, he was no mere adversary. His power was unlike anything we've ever faced. Yet we stood against it. Hulk, standing next to Thor, let out a deep grunt. Hulk smash, save world. He turned his gaze toward the devastated city, his voice carrying a tinge of sadness. "But many hurt." Batman, ever the tactician, was scanning the area, making sure there were no lingering threats. "The battle's over, but the damage is done," he said, his voice cold but composed. "We need to rebuild, and we need to prepare. This was only one threat, and there will be others." Superman nodded, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "We've proven that we can defeat anything if we stand united. But the war is never truly over. We have to be ready for whatever comes next." The group stood in silence for a moment, each of them processing the magnitude of what they had just endured. But then, the moment was broken by a voice, a familiar voice that cut through the silence. "Good job, team." Batman turned sharply. It was Lois Lane, emerging from the shadows, her eyes focused and determined. She had been monitoring the battle from the sidelines, coordinating rescue efforts, and keeping the civilians safe. "You all fought hard. The world owes you everything." Superman smiled, the weariness in his eyes softening as he looked at her. "We owe this to everyone who believed in us." Iron Man cracked a smile, despite his exhaustion. "Yeah, we make a pretty good team when we stop fighting each other." Lois nodded. "You've saved this world. But we can't forget, there's always someone waiting for their chance to strike. This victory is ours, but it's also a reminder that Earth's guardians are always needed." Superman walked up to Lois, his strength replenishing as he stood beside her. "We won't forget. We'll always be ready, together." As the heroes looked to the future, a new sense of purpose filled their hearts. The planet was healing, the devastation slowly being repaired. But in the back of their minds, they knew this wasn't the end. There would always be new threats, new battles to fight, But they were no longer the fractured team that had struggled to come together. They were unified, stronger than ever. And that made all the difference. Suddenly, the ground shook again, not from an attack, but from the weight of something heavy lifting off the ground. The heroes turned to see a massive spaceship rising into the sky, leaving behind nothing but the lingering echo of its presence. It was a reminder that the galaxy was far from stable. "The universe is vast," Batman said, his voice firm, "and we've only scratched the surface." Superman's eyes glowed brightly, his cape fluttering in the wind. "Then we'll face whatever comes next, together." As the heroes stood tall, watching the sky above, they knew that no matter what the universe threw at them, they would always be ready. They weren't just Earth's last hope. They were a family, a team forged in the heat of battle, destined to protect this world and beyond. And as the first rays of dawn broke through the smoke-filled sky, they knew one thing for sure. Their fight was far from over. But they would face it together. The end.